Dear learners, I would like to welcome you all to this lecture on food security, concept and status at global level. So this is a part of the course on agricultural economics. So in this lecture, at first I will explain the definition of food security. Then I will try to explain the dimension of food security. As food security and nutritional security are related to each other, I will define what nutritional security, then what are the factors that affect nutritional security. After that, we will discuss about nature of food insecurity in terms of chronic or transitory. The challenges of food and nutritional security is also discussed in detail in this lecture. There is some need for strategies to enhance nutritional security. That is why the strategies for enhancing nutritional security is also discussed in this lecture. We will also include some case studies and best practices which to deal food insecurity. The role of technology and innovation is also discussed in this lecture. Then the current global scenario in terms of food and nutritional security and global initiative and responses. So we will start first, what is food security? Food security is a condition in which all people at all times have physical, social and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food that meet the dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. That means to ensure food security, we need to have diversified food which contains both essential macro as well as micronutrients. Regarding food security, it encompasses four main dimensions such as availability, accessibility, utilization and stability. The aim of the food security is to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to maintain a healthy and active lifestyle which is free from hunger and malnutrition. After discussing the definition of food security, now we will discuss about different dimensions of food security. As I have already mentioned, there are four dimensions of food security: availability, accessibility, utilization and stability. Now, what is availability? Availability refers to the supply of food which depends on factors such as agricultural production, stock levels and food imports. Issues like climate change, natural disasters, agricultural practices impact the availability of food to the needy people. Next, we will discuss about what is accessibility. Access to food depends on economic and physical factors. Economically, it involves affordability and individual purchasing power. Until and unless the people have the required purchasing power to purchase a particular commodity, then he cannot create demand for that particular commodity, and that particular food is not accessible to that particular person. So that is why purchasing power is an important economic barrier for accessibility of food. So it involves the infrastructure that ensured food distribution and market. Socio-economic inequalities, poverty and lack of infrastructure can also hinder the accessibility of food. So these are basically the factors which affect accessibility dimension. The another important dimension of food security is the utilization. It involves the proper use of food requiring a diet that provide sufficient nutrient. It also includes food safety and hygiene and access to clean water and healthcare, which is necessary for proper food utilization and absorption of nutrients. The last but not least, the fourth dimension of food security is the stability. Now, what is stability? Stability refers to the consistent availability, accessibility and utilization food over time. So this facet is influenced by economic stability, political stability, conflict, and environmental sustainability. Now, what are the factors which affect stability? Fluctuation in food price, economic crisis, and political unrest are some of the factors that can disrupt food security and create problem for stability of supply of food. Now, after discussing the definition of food security and the dimension of food security, now we will discuss about nutritional security. The reason for discussing about nutritional security is that the food security and nutritional security are related to each other. In other words, along with food security, we need to have ensure nutritional security. Now, the simplest definition of nutritional security can be given as it is access to essential nutrients needed for growth, health, and well-being. Now, there are different factors which affect nutritional security. Now, the first dimension or the first factors can be dietary diversity. To have nutritional security, we need to have a diversified diet which include a balanced intake of macronutrients such as carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and micronutrients such as vitamin, potassium, calcium, sodium, iron, and zinc. Until and unless we have a dietary diversity, we cannot ensure nutritional security. The second important factor for ensuring nutritional security is the food quality. Now, how you can ensure the quality of the food? The first precondition for maintaining quality of the food is that food should be free from any kind of contamination. A contaminated food is not healthy for the health. So that is why to ensure food quality, it should be safe from contamination. The second important aspect for maintaining food quality is that we should go for nutrient dense food over empty calories. Now, third important dimension for ensuring nutritional security is the healthcare access. Now, we should have a proper healthcare access to address the issue of malnutrition and deficiency. Along with that, there is a need on the part of the administration to identify the issue of maternal and child health so that they can identify the problem and proper intervention can be taken to ensure nutritional security to the people who are most or needy. Next, after discussing what is nutritional security, we will going to discuss the nature of food insecurity. So broadly, food insecurity can be classified into chronic and transitory food insecurity. Now, what is chronic food insecurity? Chronic food insecurity is a long-term and persistent condition of food insecurity. The common indication of this type of food insecurity is that people lack access of minimum requirement of food for a sustained period of time due to extended period of poverty, lack of asset, and lack of access to productive and financial resources. So chronic food insecurity is a huge problem, and there is some kind of external assistance to deal with this kind of problem. Now, if you see in a global wise also, there are certain countries which are suffering from chronic food insecurity, and the international organizations are trying their best to deal those problems. So along with chronic food insecurity, another type of food insecurity is the transitory food insecurity. So transitory food insecurity is a short-term and temporary condition of food insecurity. It is basically caused by short-term shocks and fluctuation in food availability, food access, and variation in domestic production, inflationary issues, and household income. Now, after discussing the nature of food insecurity, now we will discuss about the challenges to food and nutritional security. So here we will discuss what are the basic challenges which create problem to ensure food and nutritional security. The first most important challenge is the climate change. Now, there are various factors which create change in climate. There are some of the natural factors on which we have no control, but along with natural factors, there are some man-made factors which has a huge impact on climate change, such as deforestation, excessive use of fossil fuels. So those are some of the factors which create change in climate. Now, how climate change affect food security? Because climate change can create problem both production and productivity of different types of crops, and ultimately it creates food as well as nutritional securities. So that is why increased frequency of extreme weather events is considered to be an important or factor for which create food and nutritional security. Another important challenge for ensuring food and nutritional security is the economic barriers. There are certain economic barriers which create problem or you can say which create challenge for food and nutritional security. So one such barrier is poverty and unemployment. So due to lack of employment opportunities, people are not able to employ productively, and as a result their per capita income is comparatively less. So when per capita income is comparatively less, they have less purchasing power, unable them to purchase diversified food, and as a result it creates problem for food insecurity. Along with that, another important economic barrier is the market fluctuation and food price volatility. It has been observed that the prices of food articles are very volatile due to changing weather condition and due to availability of food. Now, due to this volatility, if there is a sudden increase in price of some commodities, the people who are suffering from poverty and lack of employment, they are unable to purchase those kind of food, and as a result they are not able to ensure required nutrient and food for their survival and well-being. Now, the third important challenge to food and nutritional security is political and social issues. Under political and social issues, the first factor is conflict and displacement. And usually conflict results displacement, and as a result of displacement, the people, particularly the refugees people, they are unable to get sufficient amount of food in the refugee camps. And another important political factor which create food insecurity as well as nutritional insecurity is the unequal distribution of food. So these are some of the challenges which create food and nutritional insecurity, such as change in climate, change in economic barriers, and political and social issues. Now, after discussing about the challenges of food and nutritional security, now we will discuss about the strategies for enhancing food security. The first and the foremost strategy for enhancing food security is the adoption of sustainable agriculture. It is basically use of resilient and adaptive farming techniques. For sustainable agriculture, there is a need to promote agri-based ecology and biodiversity. So why agri-based ecology is needed? Because agri-based ecology is a sustainable farming that works with nature. Now, sustainable agriculture is required because it ensures biodiversity preservation and it also ensured stable livelihood. Now, the second strategy for ensuring food security is improve supply chain. So there is a need to have, along with production, there is a need to have improved supply chain so that food grains are available to different regions of the country, or you can say different regions of the world. So how can we do this? The first one is, how can we improve the supply chain? First, by reducing food loss and wastage. The second, by enhancing storage, there is a need to have develop proper storage in terms of cold storage also. There is a need to improve the transportation facilities so that food can be transported from one place to the another, so that it is available to all section of the people across the world. Another important aspect to ensure supply chain is the accessibility to market. The farmers who are producing food, they should have a ready-made market which provide them remunerative prices to their product. Unless they have access to market at the local level, it is very difficult for them to supply their produce to the market. So as a result, along with transportation, access of market is considered to be an important factor to improve the supply chain, and which is considered as an important strategy for enhancing food security. Along with sustainable agriculture and improved supply chain, proper policy intervention by the administration or government is considered to be an important strategy for enhancing food security as well as nutritional security. So in that case, we can give an example of social protection program such as food stamp and subsidies. What is food stamp? Food stamp is basically a piece of paper that is given to poor people by the government, with which they can buy food. And subsidies basically are provided to the needy people, particularly the persons living below the poverty line or persons lack of purchasing power, to purchase those commodities at a price less than the market determined price. Because there are some of the people who are living below the poverty line and their purchasing power is very low. And as a result of low purchasing power, those people cannot purchase the required and nutritious food at the market determined price. Now the role of the administration or the government is to provide subsidies to reduce the price of those commodities so that those food are accessible as well as available to the people who are living below the poverty line. So that is why proper policy intervention is considered to be an important strategy for enhancing food security. Now another important policy intervention may be there should be some kind of support from the government to the small farmers, and in terms of supply of high yielding seeds, supply of fertilizer, insecticide, pesticide, and accessibility to local market. As I have already told, a developed local market with proper transportation facility is considered to be an important policy intervention for ensuring availability and accessibility of food articles. Now we will discuss what are the specific strategies to enhance nutritional security. The first important strategy may be nutrition education. There is a need on the part of the administration, there is a need on the part of the as well as government to promote healthy dietary practice. There should be some kind of awareness program among the people so that they should have an knowledge regarding the requirement of diversified diet which contains both macro and micro nutrients. Another important intervention for enhancing nutritional security may be food fortification. Food fortification is basically adding of essential vitamins and minerals to our staples such as rice and wheat, so that by consuming those staples, people can ensure food security as well as nutritional security. The another important intervention may be dealing with specific nutritional deficiencies along with food fortification. There are some of the other healthcare integration also which can ensure nutritional security, such as linking of food security program with our health services. There is also need to monitor and address malnutrition cases, and proper intervention can be taken by supplying them required nutrients in terms of both micro and macro nutrients. Now, after discussing the strategies for maintaining food and nutritional securities, now we'll discuss some of the classic case studies and best practices which ensures food and nutritional securities across the globe. The one of such success program is the Brazil Zero Hunger program. So this program succeeded in removing Brazil from the world hunger map by reducing the population suffering from malnutrition by 82% between the year 2003 to 2012. And as a result, what happened? The poverty rate also fell from 24% of the total population in 2003 to 8.5% in 2012. So this is a success program which create huge impact on reducing the problem of hunger. The another classic example may be India's National Food Security Act. The National Food Security Act, which is adopted in 2013, also known as the Right to Food Act. So this is basically an India Act of Parliament which aims to provide subsidized food grain to approximately 2/3 of the country's 1.4 billion people. So these are basically two classic or successful programs to reduce the problem of hunger and ensure food security, the Brazil Zero Hunger program and India's National Food Security Act. So along with this case studies, we can also think of some kind of innovative approaches such as urban agricultural initiative. So now most of the time what we realize is that agriculture is a rural-based activity. But we can think of also development of some kind of agricultural activities in urban areas also, which can contribute or which can assist in increasing the availability of food grains to the needy people. Again, the administration can also take in some kind of initiative to support and promote community supported agriculture, which also ensure or increase availability of food to the needy people. So these are some of the case studies and best practices. Now we'll discuss about role of technology and innovation. It is required to be mentioned here that in the age of technology and innovation, these two factors has a huge impact on productivity as well as production of agricultural product and ensuring food availability. Now, in case of technology, we can think of some kind of technology related to agriculture which will provide precision in farming and which will ensure smart agriculture. We can also think of use of drone and satellite imagery to use fertilizer, to use insecticide, so that both productivity and production of agriculture can be increased, and ultimately increase in production and productivity of agricultural activities will ensure food and nutritional security. So another important role in terms of technology and innovation is use of digital platform. We can think of mobile app for market information and advisory services to the needy people such as farmers and the consumers. So another important digital platform may be blockchain for transparent food supplies. So blockchain technologies can track all types of information about plants such as seed quality and growth of crop, and even generate a record of the journey of the plant after it leaves the farm. After discussing the definition, challenges, strategies, success stories, now we will try to see the global scenario of food and nutritional security. Now if you go by statistics, as per Food and Agricultural Organization of United States, 821 million people suffer from chronic hunger over the world at present time, as per the report of 2021. Over 2 billion people lack regular access to safe, nutritious and sufficient food. There is a high rate of prevalence of micro as well as macronutrient deficiencies all over the world, especially in developing countries. So if we go by statistics, that means food and nutritional security is a issue of concern for the global community. Now, what are the key issues which create this kind of problem globally? The first issue is the problem of poverty, particularly in underdeveloped countries, as well as inequality both in developed and underdeveloped countries. Another key issue is as I have already mentioned, climate change and environmental degradation globally. The conflict and political instability is also considered to be a key issue globally, which create food insecurity to the needy people. Now, if you see the globally, there are disparities is there regionally. If we consider the sub-Saharan Africa, there is a huge, or you can say highest prevalence of undernourishment. There is a significant challenge to sub-Saharan Africa due to climate change and conflict. Another example is some of the countries in Asia where there is a large number of undernourished people. Although we have seen some kind of improvement in some areas, but still significant gap is there between the countries which are suffering from undernourished or malnutrition in Asia to that of developed countries. The disparities can be observed in case of Latin America and Caribbean also, where there is a rising food insecurity due to economic downturn and natural disasters. So considering the fact that food insecurity is a problem of concern globally, we need to discuss about what are the global initiatives and responses to tackle that problem. The one of the global initiative which we can cite is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If you see, out of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 2 goals are directly or indirectly related to food and nutritional security. If you see the goal 2 of zero hunger by 2030, that it is an initiative to improve agricultural productivity and food access so that there is no problem of hunger in the world by the year 2030. And the goal 13 of SDGs is to restrict climate change and some kind of actions so that production and productivity of agriculture can be ensured, which will ensure availability and accessibility of food. Another important global initiative for increasing food security is the World Food Programme, where their tagline is saving life, changing life. The World Food Programme is considered as world's largest humanitarian organization. It basically saves lives in emergencies and use of food assistance to build stability and prosperity for people recovering from conflict, disasters, and impact of climate change. The another important initiative globally is taken by Food and Agricultural Organization. What they try to do, they try to take some kind of program for development of agriculture and building of resilience. They also focus on smallholder farming and sustainable practices so that along with ability and accessibility of food, there should be some kind of attention for ensuring sustainability of agricultural practices or food articles. So these are global initiatives and responses for fighting food and nutritional insecurity. So thus, in this lecture, we discuss definition of food security, then definition of nutritional security, then we will try to discuss nature of food insecurity in terms of chronic and transitory. The challenges of food and nutritional security are also discussed in details. Then we will discuss about strategies for enhancing nutritional securities. We also discuss the classic example of Brazil of maintaining, creating zero hunger and the National Food Security Act of India to fight the problem of food and nutritional securities. The role of technological innovation are also discussed in these lectures. We also try to see and discuss the current global scenario in terms of number of people suffering from food and nutritional insecurity. A detailed discussion is made regarding global initiative for sustainable agriculture, the initiative taken by World Food Programme and Food and Agricultural Organization of United States. So those are the things we have included in our lecture. So thank you for attending this class. Thank you.